Welcome to an overview of Form 144, the new non-resident TDS compliance framework introduced under the Income Tax Act, 2025. Designed for payments made to NRIs, foreign companies, and other non-resident entities, Form 144 replaces the existing Form 27Q with a quarterly filing mechanism. The new framework emphasizes digital compliance, enhanced validation, and improved reporting accuracy, helping organizations meet their TDS obligations more efficiently and transparently. Let us understand what Form 144 is. Form 144 is the quarterly TDS statement prescribed under Section 393(2) of the Income Tax Act, 2025. It is used to report tax deducted at source on payments made to non-residents and foreign entities. The filing requirement applies to payments made to non-resident individuals, foreign companies, foreign partnerships, and other non-resident entities. The form captures key transaction and compliance details, including deductor and deductee information, the nature and amount of payments, the tax deducted and deposited, as well as any DTAA benefits claimed along with supporting documentation. Form 144 serves as an important compliance document, ensuring accurate reporting of cross-border payments and proper credit of taxes deducted. It replaces the reporting framework that was earlier governed under Section 195 of the Income Tax Act, 1961. Form 27Q, prescribed under the Income Tax Act, 1961, is now replaced by Form 144 under the Income Tax Act, 2025. The governing law has changed from the Income Tax Act, 1961 to the Income Tax Act, 2025. The TDS reporting requirement has shifted from Section 195 to the corresponding Section 393(2) in the new Act. Traditional reporting processes have been transformed into a digital-first compliance framework. Manual validation checks have been replaced with automated validation mechanisms. Error-prone reporting is being strengthened through enhanced data integrity controls. Despite these procedural changes, the core obligation remains the same: deduct tax, deposit it, report it, and maintain proper documentation. Overall, Form 144 modernizes the reporting process while preserving the fundamental TDS compliance requirements. Let's understand the anatomy of Form 144 by moving through its 4 layers, starting from the foundation and progressing to the final validation stage. Layer 1 is the deductor information layer, which captures the identity of the deductor through details such as TAN and PAN, name and address, contact information, and the details of the responsible person. Moving to Layer 2, the remittance information layer records the payment transaction itself, including the gross amount paid, tax deducted, date of payment, challan identification details, and the date on which the tax was deposited. Layer 3 focuses on deductee information, where information about the non-resident recipient is reported, including name and PAN, country of residence, treaty benefit claims under DTAA, and the tax residency certificate, wherever applicable. Finally, Layer 4 is the compliance validation layer, which acts as the control checkpoint for the return by validating PAN details, challan information, data consistency, and the accuracy of tax calculations. Together, these 4 interconnected layers ensure that Form 144 captures complete transaction details while maintaining accuracy, transparency, and regulatory compliance. Form 144 introduces several structural refinements aimed at making TDS reporting more efficient, accurate, and compliance-oriented. First, the reporting architecture has been simplified, creating a more intuitive form structure that reduces complexity and improves usability for taxpayers and practitioners. Second, better standardization has been achieved through uniform data fields, ensuring greater consistency across filings and minimizing interpretation differences. Third, improved data integrity is supported by enhanced validation mechanisms that help identify potential errors before submission, resulting in cleaner and more reliable reporting. Another significant enhancement is stronger compliance monitoring, where structured reporting enables authorities to perform more effective oversight and identify potential risks at an earlier stage. These improvements collectively deliver tangible benefits, including greater accuracy, faster processing, fewer corrections, improved audit readiness, and increased confidence in the reporting process. Finally, the digital-first design of Form 144 supports automation and data-driven compliance, aligning tax reporting with modern technology and future compliance expectations. Overall, Form 144 modernizes TDS compliance through a standardized, validated, and technology-enabled reporting framework. Let's walk through the end-to-end Form 144 filing workflow, from tax deduction to final compliance. Step 1 is deduction, where tax is deducted at the applicable rate at the time of credit or payment to the non-resident. Step 2 is deposit, where the deducted tax is deposited with the government within the prescribed timelines using the appropriate challan. Step 3 is preparation, which involves compiling transaction details, deductee information, tax amounts, and supporting documentation required for reporting. Step 4 is validation, where all information is reviewed to ensure accuracy, completeness, and alignment with supporting documents, including any applicable DTAA claims. Step 5 is filing, where Form 144 is submitted to the tax authorities on or before the applicable due date. Step 6 is processing, during which the department validates and processes the submitted return through its compliance systems. Finally, Step 7 is corrections, where correction statements may be filed to rectify any errors or omissions identified after submission. It is also important to keep the quarterly filing deadlines in mind. Quarter 1 returns are due by July 31st, Quarter 2 by October 31st, Quarter 3 by January 31st, and Quarter 4 by May 31st. Together, these 7 stages ensure a complete and compliant Form 144 reporting life cycle. Once Form 144 is filed, there are important outcomes for both deductors and deductees. For deductors, successful processing means the statement is accepted without errors. However, the system may identify defaults such as short deduction, late tax deposit, challan mismatches, or PAN-related issues. In such cases, justification reports are generated to help taxpayers understand and rectify the exceptions. For deductees, successful processing enables TDS credit availability and improves visibility of tax information through their PAN. It also enhances transparency by allowing recipients to view taxes deducted and reported on their behalf. Ultimately, accurate filing and timely compliance ensure smoother processing, better transparency, and proper tax credit flow for all stakeholders. Let's understand the concept of grossing up when the deductor agrees to bear the tax liability on behalf of the deductee. In such cases, the income must be increased, or grossed up, so that the deductee receives the agreed net amount after TDS deduction. Under the earlier law, this requirement was governed by Section 195A of the Income Tax Act, 1961, and it continues under the grossing up provisions of the Income Tax Act, 2025. The calculation is straightforward. First, identify the net amount payable, which in this example is Rs 1 lakh. Next, apply the TDS rate of 10%. The gross amount is then calculated as the net amount divided by 1 minus the tax rate, resulting in Rs 1,11,111. The difference between the gross amount and the net amount, Rs 11,111, represents the TDS to be deposited. Accurate grossing up ensures correct TDS computation, prevents short deduction, and supports compliant Form 144 reporting. Every organization faces compliance risks that can affect its finances, legal standing, and day-to-day operations. Financial risks include interest on late deposits, late filing fees under Section 234E, penalties under Section 271C, and additional tax exposure. Compliance risks arise from incorrect PAN reporting, wrong tax rates, missing TRC or Form 10F, and challan mismatches, leading to inaccurate statutory filings. Legal risks may result in income tax notices, scrutiny assessments, litigation, or even prosecution due to non-compliance. Lastly, operational risks include data entry errors, weak internal controls, poor documentation, and the absence of a maker-checker process, all of which increase the chances of compliance failures. Managing these risks proactively helps organizations ensure accurate compliance, avoid penalties, and maintain strong governance. When auditing Form 144 compliance, there are 6 key focus areas that require careful review. First, auditors should verify DTAA claims by confirming treaty eligibility, validating supporting documentation, and ensuring benefits have been claimed correctly. Second, documentation should be reviewed to confirm the availability of the tax residency certificate, Form 10F, supporting agreements, and deductee declarations. Third, tax rate validation is essential to ensure the correct rates have been applied under domestic law or applicable tax treaties, including surcharge and cess considerations. Fourth, auditors should perform data integrity checks by reconciling books of account, tax deposits, challan records, and TDS statement data. Fifth, compliance controls should be assessed, including maker-checker reviews, authorization workflows, exception reporting, and timely filing procedures. Finally, a risk assessment should be carried out to identify high-risk transactions, evaluate treaty benefit claims, review delayed deductions or deposits, and assess the effectiveness of internal controls. Together, these focus areas help auditors strengthen compliance, improve reporting accuracy, and proactively identify potential risks. Before filing the TDS return, it's important to complete a few essential verification steps to ensure accuracy and compliance. Start with deductor verification by validating the TAN, PAN, and contact details of the deductor. Next, perform tax deposit verification by confirming challan matching, tax deposit details, and amount reconciliation. Then, move to deductee verification, where you should verify the PAN, country details, and income classification of the deductee. For transactions covered under DTAA, ensure that the TRC, Form 10F, and all supporting documents are available and verified. After that, complete the tax rate verification by confirming the correct TDS rate, DTAA eligibility, and the applicable surcharge and cess. Finally, perform the final validation by reconciling all data, obtaining the necessary internal approvals, and confirming that the return is ready for filing. Following this pre-filing checklist helps minimize errors, avoid notices, and ensure a smooth and accurate TDS return filing process. To ensure accurate and timely TDS compliance, organizations should follow a structured 6-phase compliance roadmap. It begins with data collection, where all transaction details for the quarter are captured and consolidated. The second phase is documentation, which involves maintaining and verifying essential documents such as the TRC, Form 10F, and relevant agreements. Next comes reconciliation, where TDS deductions, tax deposits, and accounting records are matched to identify and resolve discrepancies. The fourth phase is filing, where Form 27Q is prepared and submitted within the prescribed quarterly timelines. After filing, the monitoring phase helps track the return status and identify any exceptions or issues that require attention. Finally, the improvement phase focuses on strengthening internal controls by implementing corrective actions based on audit findings and past experiences. Following this 6-phase roadmap helps organizations maintain compliance, improve accuracy, and streamline the overall TDS filing process. Let's quickly recap the key takeaways from this module. First, understand the filing requirements thoroughly and stay updated with the applicable provisions before preparing the return. Second, maintain complete and accurate documentation, including essential documents such as the TRC and Form 10F, to support compliance. Third, verify DTAA eligibility before applying treaty benefits, and ensure all supporting evidence is in place. Fourth, reconcile TDS deductions and tax deposits regularly throughout the quarter, rather than waiting until the filing deadline. Fifth, validate all data before submission to minimize errors, avoid notices, and reduce the need for correction filings. Finally, monitor the filing outcomes and promptly resolve any defaults or discrepancies to maintain ongoing compliance. By following these best practices, organizations can achieve accurate, timely, and hassle-free TDS compliance.